and that Shyamdas is our departed friend now. He is always forever in our hearts. Shyamdas introduced Radhanath to our West Coast satsang, the East Coast satsang, and what a blessed event and occasion, and so much benefit to so many people has come as a result of that introduction. But I just wanted to say a word about Shyamdas and his dedication to his path, to his teachers, and to his most beloved Balakrishna. And a word with regards to Radhanath Ji, how many hearts he touches, how much good he does for so many people is immeasurable. And with that immeasurable love that he shares with so many, we're so grateful that he can spare a few moments in his busy life with us tonight. So Radhanath Ji, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvadha Sadhike Shanye Trambake Gaudi Narayani Namostude Hari Narayani Namostude Om. Om Agyan Timidan Dasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Satharine. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamami Hari Priye Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patithanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Thira Panachari Yamuna Thira Panachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe.
Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe.
Shyama Gauri Nitya Kishori Prithama Jori Sri Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe
Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe.
Rasika Rasilo Chaila Chabilo Gunakara Bilo Sri Krishna. Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna, Krishna Jai Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna. Prana Piyari Rupa Uchari Hati Sukumari Sri Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Nava Nava Rangi Navalatri Bangi Shama Surangi Sri Krishna. Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna, Krishna Jai Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna. Radha Namani Guna Abhiramani Hari Priya Swamini Sri Radhe. Hari Priya Swamini Sri Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe Jai Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Everyone please.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I am very grateful to be with all of you this evening. Special gratitude to Narayan Ji for opening the doors of his home, his heart, for all of us. From my observation and analysis of Narayan's life, this is what he likes to do best. He likes to serve. What many people consider a burden, to have a couple hundred people just come to your house, it's his greatest pleasure. And so many of my very dear friends, God brothers, sisters, I'm so grateful to all of you for coming this evening. As Narayan spoke, the last time I was on this platform in this little valley was a satsang, or a program that we shared with Shyamdas Ji. I remember the year before, we came after Bhakti Fest here. And Shamdas and Narayan had it arranged that I would sing and speak first and then him after me. And Shamdas said, I think that you're going to go too long, so let me go first. And he went on for about 2.5 hours. Remember that? And by the time I came, I was myself kind of sleeping. And then next year, Narayan said, this year, Radhanath Swami's going first. And Shamdas said, yes, of course. And I tried to keep my time. But Shamdas was so beloved to so many hearts. He inspired the kirtan of God's names in so many places throughout the world. And he lived to serve. He loved Krishna. Wherever he was in the world, he was always remembering his little house at Govardhan in Jatipura. How many of you have been to his house in Jatipura? Please raise your hands. Anyways, in Vrindavan, in the hill of Govardhan, he's been living for so many years. He first came to Vrindavan in 1973 and took to the path of bhakti, or devotion to Krishna. And over the years became a scholar of Sanskrit, a scholar of the local Brijabhas and Hindi language, Gujarati language. Myself, I've been in India since 1970, and I'm still trying to learn English properly. That's the extent of my language abilities. But Shamdas, he just hears somebody speaking and he learns the language. He had that brilliance. And he learned classical music. When he sang kirtans, it was actually based on ancient classical ragas that have been sung with devotion to praise God for thousands of years by saintly people. That's how he played his drum, that's how he played his harmonium, that's how he sang his songs. Although having such incredible skills and being so loved and respected by so many, he was so humble. His greatest joy was never to be praised, but to see the good in others and to serve. Because that's how he connected to his beloved Krishna, through sharing the gift that he received with the world. He loved to cook. He also was a master chef according to ancient formulas. Sometimes he'd throw in some modern things too. And every morning for so many hours he would be with his Thakurji, his little deity of Krishna, to offer his chants, his bhoga, his food, his love. So we are really missing him this evening. Our beloved Krishna took his beloved Shamdas from us very suddenly, just earlier this year. So in his honor, I'd like to speak on a subject that he lived for, and he lived to inspire the world to appreciate. And that's selfless or let us say unselfish service, not just of the mind and body, but of the body, mind, and soul. There's a beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Purana. Savai pungsang paro dharma yato bhaktir rokshaje ahoitaki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That the supreme dharma, the supreme religion, occupation, the supreme purpose of life is loving service to the one supreme Lord of all living beings. And in order for that service to satisfy our heart, our soul, it must be unmotivated by selfishness or ego and uninterrupted by any of the various transformations or changes that come about in our life. No matter how much we try, no matter how much we have, no matter how much we can do, even if we have the best microphone system, the best sound engineers, still, as long as we're in this world, there will be feedback. And that applies to every aspect of life. Our families, our business, our spiritual aspirations, even our service. There's always feedbacks. Nobody wants it, but it happens. Of course, in the old rock concerts I used to go to, they used to actually purposely do feedback. And they actually learned how to make feedback sound really nice. So that's something we have to do too in life. We have to learn how to make feedback a nice thing. And that means seeing the opportunity in feedback, in reversals and obstacles. So when our loving service, our desire to serve, and our will to serve is uninterrupted by these various conditions that will inevitably come, the sunny days, the stormy days, that love satisfies the heart and the soul. And the principle of bhakti is simply based on that. Lord Chaitanya, he taught us, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajja Kapunoi Sravanadi Sudichiti Kodiyayudoi. That this love, this unconditional, unmotivated love for God is within the heart of every living being. It's just that we're so distracted, trying to find the pleasure, the ananda, that love provides in so many external people and places. But the Bhagavad tells us that when we discover that love within ourselves, it's like watering the root of a tree. It naturally reaches every part of the tree, the leaves, the branches, the twigs, the flowers. And all living beings, mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. All living beings are part of Krishna, it tells in Bhagavad Gita, or God. So when we actually find that love for God within ourselves, it naturally flows toward unconditional loving service to every living being, regardless of their caste or their race or their sex or even their species. Wherever there's life, there's a sacred part of God. We cannot love God without loving all the sacred parts of God. We may not like what they do, but we love the inherent essence of life, the Atma, wherever there is life. And in the month of April, I was invited to speak in the House of Lords in London, in the Parliament. It was quite a cultural shock for me. You know, the only Lord I ever knew was Krishna. And all of a sudden I'm in a room full of lords. And ladies and dukes and princes and princesses, and it was quite a gathering. But I gave a talk, and within my talk I said something that everyone really enthusiastically applauded for. And afterward they were telling me that one sentence really moved our hearts. It's a sentence I say a lot of times, but somehow it really moved their hearts. May I tell you? If you want to know how rich you are, try to find out how many things you have that money cannot buy. That's a simple statement. But you see, all these people in the room were really rich. That's why it struck them so much in their heart. They were coming up after saying, that sentence changed my life. Because what is the one thing that money cannot buy? Love. Real love. The essential need of every heart is to love and to be loved. And when we understand that that's really our goal, and when we, in our tradition, we chant the holy names to awaken that love, and we associate with people who are actually striving to find that love, then we develop a whole new view of the world. I'd like to tell you a story that I just recently heard. It's very depressing. And it's very enlivening too. Are you willing to hear it? I was in a car in Mumbai. This was at the end of March. And I was driving from Mumbai, our ashram, to the airport. Because I was coming to Europe and then America. So I was going to be gone for several months. And within the car, it was one of those cars that has a back seat and then another back seat. And then, you know, in India, you know, just on a human level, they could make another back seat. Even if it's not visibly there. They can make a back seat on the roof, too. But usually, whenever I'm leaving for some time, all these leaders of the ashram get in the car. And that's the time they like to ask me the most difficult questions. Always on the basis of the most serious problems. Because after all, I'm leaving for several months, so, you know, how do we solve this and how do we solve that? And that's what usually the ride is. So, what do they say? The best defense is a good offense. So before anyone could say anything, I said, all the way to the airport, we will speak nothing except stories about Krishna. And stories about spiritual life. And nothing else. And we'll go around the car, and, you know, first you, then, you know, I'll be last, I'll take my turn, if it ever... So everyone was telling stories of Krishna. So this was a really nice ride. It was about 1 in the morning in Mumbai. And one of our devotees, he said, could I tell you a story? It's not directly about Krishna, but it really moved my heart toward Krishna. I said, please. Such perfect timing. Sounds like even the coyotes want to hear. They're having their own kirtan over there. You see, we have this hospital called the Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Mumbai. And it's a hospital for the body, mind, and soul, which incorporates allopathy, Ayurveda, naturopathy, homeopathy, acupuncture, spiritual care, and like that. It's about 175 beds. So somebody donated the land for that. It was an educational institute. And that educational institute, just close to where the hospital is, in an auditorium, was having a special event for International Women's Day. Now, for those of you who may have been seeing the news the last year, in India, it's especially a great concern that has actually become international about horrible abuse of women. There's been women raped, killed, and all those things. So you can understand, and there's been demonstrations in Delhi with tens and thousands of people about action to protect women in the society. So I believe this was I think it was in March of this year, just before I was taking this ride. The event was very significant and taken very seriously. And a very esteemed audience was present. Politicians, industrialists, engineers, educationists. And the keynote speaker was a very simple lady. Her name is Sindhutai Sapkal. Have any of you ever heard of her? That's good. That means you never heard this story before. Sindhutai, she's 63 years old. She got up. She has just a very simple village sari, and she told the story of her life. The person in the back seat who was telling me this explained every single person in the audience was weeping, weeping, and weeping as she told the story of her life. And it's been documented also. She was born in serious poverty in a little village in the state of Maharashtra. She really wanted to get an education. But her parents, they felt it was much more important for survival that she herd buffaloes at the time when she would have gone to school. So when she was just 4 or 5 years old, she started herding buffalo. Now, you know how gigantic water buffaloes are? And she's just a little 5-year-old girl with a little stick, just taking the big buffaloes around with their big curly horns. And she would take them, because there's a lot of drought in that area, to different arid places where there were shrubs for them to eat. And water buffaloes in the heat, they love to be underwater up to their necks. So she would take them to pond of water where they would submerge themselves. And while they were enjoying the coolness of the water, she would run to school. But she'd always be late. So usually the teacher would beat her with a stick because she came late. But she was so eager to learn. Then after the class was out, she'd run back to get the buffaloes. And sometimes the buffaloes had already gotten out of the pond and they were on somebody else's property eating their shrubs. So when the farmer would see her, often he would beat her with a stick. She said, "These were the happiest days of my childhood." She was told to get married when she was 9 years old. And her husband was 32 years old. When she was 19, she had 3 sons. And she was 9 months pregnant with another child. At that time, some land mafia kind of person was exploiting the people of the village. He was getting the women to collect cow dung and collect wood and stuff like that. And he would somehow or other, he would get them to do the work and he would take all the money. And they were too afraid to do anything about it. So this young lady, Sindhutai, she told the local collector about what this person was doing. And he stopped this criminal from his activities. But he was so furious. He had to get revenge. So he went to this Sindhutai's husband and said, "Your wife is cheating on you. She's regularly having affairs with other men, including me. And you think that child in her womb is yours? It's not. It's my child." And I want to see both of them dead. If you don't do something about it, I am going to do something to you. So the husband was both feeling betrayed, he was furious, and he was also scared. So he kicked her repeatedly in the womb to kill her. He kicked her until she was unconscious. And he thought she was dead. And he dragged her to this cow shed where all these cows in a small space were just walking around, and threw her down on the ground there. His idea was when people see her dead, they'll think that the cows and the bulls just walked over her and killed her. But there was one cow, a mother cow, that stood over her to protect her. Because otherwise she's laying on the ground unconscious. You know, these big bulls and cows, they would just step on her all over the place. They would crush her. But this one cow stood over her and protected her with her life. Any cow that came by, any bull, she would just, with her horns, shoo them away. And then the in-laws came to see what her condition was. And the cow would not allow the in-laws to go near her. With her horns, she fearlessly shooed them away. When this girl woke up, she was watching all this. And she had her baby under the cow. A baby girl. And she couldn't walk. But for hour after hour, the cow was there, right on top of her, standing, not letting anything come near them. She spoke. Actually, I got a transcription of the tape. I'm telling you what she said. Should I continue? She took a common rock from the ground, and with 16 slices, she cut her umbilical cord. And she remained because she was too weak, a little infant. And the cow protected her. And she made a promise to the cow, after embracing her, that as you protected me when I was helpless, I will give my life to protect people who are helpless. She went back to her home, her biological home. But according to this archaic, unrealistic tradition in the family in this village, once a daughter goes to a husband's house, she cannot live in her own house again. So they rejected her. She was homeless. She was helpless. And she knew for sure she was living like this with a little baby. She would be raped. She would be exploited. She'd be abused. So where should she go? On a little riverbank, just in the open air on the dirt, where they would collect wood and burn dead corpses. And she slept there, where the corpses were burning. And she acted crazy, so people thought she was ghostly haunted, and they left her and her child alone. She said she was sometimes so desperate that she would get some wheat flour, somehow or other, and she'd add some water to it, and she would cook chapatis. She would cook bread on the top of the burning human corpses at the crematorium. She contemplated suicide practically constantly because her life was so hopeless. And one night, about 2 a.m, she decided, yes, I'm going to commit suicide. And she went to the railway tracks with her little baby, because she didn't want her baby to live like this. She was just laying her body on the railway tracks with her baby in her arms when she heard someone screaming for help. She ran to the place on the railway platform where this old man, he was dying and he was crying for food and water. So she begged and got some water for him and food for him. And she heard God's voice. She actually said, she actually heard Krishna's voice telling her at this moment that she has something more useful to do in her life than commit suicide. She can help other people. So she took her little baby and went into a field and sat there, that I'm so beaten up and so chopped up and so abused, how am I going to possibly help anyone? She was under a tree, and she looked up, and there was a branch. The branch was mutilated by a woodsman's axe. It was just like all these big chop marks in it, and the branch was hanging from a little thread. Somehow he didn't finish the job, the woodsman. And she saw that that branch, while it was hanging, was giving shade to her and her baby from the scorching sun. And she thought, that's it. However much I've been chopped up and misused and abused, as that branch is giving me shelter, I can help give people shelter. And at that moment, she renewed her promise to the mother cow in her heart. And she would go and find all these little children, because there's so many in India, who are homeless, who are orphans, who are either being captured and put in child labor, or begging under mafias, or just suffering. And she would sing. She would sing with a begging bowl and get donations, And that's how she would feed all these little kids. And they would live at the crematorium or wherever else they could be safe. And she did this for some years. And soon she had dozens and dozens of children she was the mother for. And gradually some people saw that and they named her the Mother of the Orphans. And they built a little orphanage for her, and then a bigger one, then another one. Years later, she said up till now, she said she has 1,050 children that she's been the mother for. She has 235 sons-in-laws, 35 daughter-in-laws. She has over 1,000 grandchildren. And every one of them not only are protected, but they're all educated. Something she never got to do herself. And she's received about 270 awards for how she's helping. And she's seeing it as Krishna giving her this chance to be a mother for people who really need a mother. The Prime Minister of India gave her an award. So this spread. And one day, this man approached her. He was 80 years old. He was in rags, and he was totally homeless and helpless. At first she didn't recognize him. Then she did. It was her ex-husband. The one that rejected her and tried to kill her. Left her there to suffer and die. He heard about all the awards she was getting, and he actually came for help. She said to him, "When you left me to die, I lived in rags, and you were dressed nicely. Now you are in rags, and I'm dressed nicely." He said, "I was starving, and you were eating. Now I'm eating, and you're starving." She said, "This makes me very happy." She said, "But I forgive you." She said, "You could come and live in my orphanage. Not as my wife, that's finished. I will be your mother. You could be my son. And I will protect you as long as you live." When she brought him to the orphanage, it was all children. Now there's this 80-year-old man. She told all the children. He laughed so nicely in the microphone. You should come to all my talks. She told all the children that because of this man, I am your mother. And she told her husband, she said, "If you didn't do what you did to me, I would have just been a regular old housewife for you. I would have just been cooking and cleaning for you. But because of what you've done, now I have 1,000 grandchildren and thousands of children who I love as a mother, as children, and they love me as their mother. And look what a difference I've made in the world." And she told all the children that I'm here because of him. He needs love more than anyone, so give him your love. And whenever a guest would come, she would introduce him. She'd say, "This is my oldest son." He's 25 years older than her. She said, "This is my oldest son." And she'd say, "And he's very naughty." But the interesting thing she wanted to tell us through her story, 2 lessons. One is she explained the most fulfilling thing that she's ever done in her life. The deepest experience she's ever had in her life, and where she felt the closest to God, was not in raising all these children and going out begging for them and everything else, but in forgiving this man. She said, "That is the highlight of my life. By God's grace, I had the strength to forgive him and serve him." And then she was explaining, in whatever situation we have, anyone can complain. Anyone can criticize. Anyone could blame. And it very well may be completely literally true what we're criticizing and blaming for. But we don't get anywhere. We can't grow. When we see in whatever situation happens, an opportunity to come closer to God, an opportunity to love, an opportunity to learn and to grow. She said that opportunity is always there. She said, "My life was a path full of thorns." This is quote unquote. She said, "But I made friends with those thorns. And my life became beautiful. And I've helped to make so many other lives beautiful." We should never give up. We should never be discouraged. And when we take this lesson on a spiritual level, in our loving service to the Supreme Lord, in our living in a spirit of being an instrument of Krishna or God's compassion, we can find the deepest, fullest illumination and the ultimate goal and purpose of life. Because none of us could last very long in this world. Padam padam yadvi padam natesha. At any moment, anything could happen to anyone. And all around us, it does happen. There's a beautiful explanation that our life in this world is like a really sharp pencil that makes a point. And that point is on a long, 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 long line, pencil line, that goes into infinity. What is the significance of that little point compared to the whole line of pencil? Najayate mariyate vakadach. The Atma, the soul, is eternal. It's unborn. It's undying. Vasamsujunani yatavihaya. These bodies are like vehicles. They're like sets of clothes that the Atma, the living force, takes on for some time. And we're born. And then we grow. and we may produce some offspring, and we're sustained for some time, and then gradually we dwindle, and then this outer shell is no longer suitable, what we call death. If we see this little pencil point of our life as the all in all, we could really get disturbed and confused about the circumstances that are happening to us. And we get really entangled in the complexities of life. And no matter who we are, no matter what we can do, no matter what we have, the world is a place where we will get caught in the web of complexities, somehow or other. Whether you're a billionaire or whether you're living on the street, whether you're a scholar or illiterate, believe it or not, kind of especially if you're a Swami. Because you have to deal with so many other people's complexities. So complexities are there, no matter what. They come, like the seasons. You know, there's the winter season, and then there's the summer season. But we know the winter's coming. Especially, you know, in Chicago, where I'm from. So when we just get caught up, why is this happening to me? We may be able to understand it, you know, from a perspective of karma, from a perspective of whatever. But when we see, when we're able to take a step back, that I am immortal, I am eternal, and whatever's happening is an opportunity for me to actually move forward on that line and even remove myself from that line altogether and be liberated. This is why we very much require the satsang. Shamdas Ji was always putting the maximum emphasis on satsang, associating with like-minded or holy people who help to reinforce this conviction that we need each other to clarify and focus on what our real purpose is in this world. Because everything we gain and whatever, however healthy and nice our body is, it's just a flash on this, it's just a point on this long line. It's going to perish. But the treasure of love for Krishna, love for God, love for every living being, that is our truest and greatest potential. And that can never, ever be taken away by anything. And that's what yoga, that's what true religion is for, to reconnect us to that. And it is the reason we chant these beautiful kirtans, or mantras. Man means the mind, tra means to deliver, trayate. To reconnect our mind, to reconnect our senses, to reconnect our intelligence to our true eternal spiritual ego. In the Bible, Jesus says that in this world, whatever treasure you have, it will be either stolen by thieves, rusted by rust, or eaten by moths. He said, but make your treasure in the kingdom of God, because that treasure is forever. The kingdom of God is within. This is the universal principle of bhakti, of true religion. That love for Krishna is within us. Unselfish, unmotivated compassion for all beings is within us. And if we could live in this world to connect to that, and live in this world, whether we are swamis, or swaminis, or whether we are in business, in entertainment, in engineering, in farming, in education, whatever we may be, if this is what we're living for, to make that connection and to be an instrument of what we're connecting to, our life has ultimate fulfillment. A fulfillment, an experience that even death cannot take away from us. My beloved Guru Srila Prabhupada, we were discussing this morning. When he was 70 years old on that cargo ship, after 38 days on sea, heart attack, seasickness, he had never met a person from out of India in his life. And now he's looking at Boston Harbor. He didn't know a single person outside of India. He didn't know if anyone would be there waiting for him. He had no money. And he wrote a beautiful prayer. If I remember right, in 1971 in Vrindavan, Guru Das Ji showed me this prayer. Shyam Sundar Ji told me the whole story. He was praying, not, God, let somebody be there for me. God, give me good health. His prayer was, Krishna, give me the power to speak in such a way that your message will enter their heart and make them happy. Let me be an instrument of your grace, to free them from the sufferings of this world and taste the sweetness of your love and make them happy. Let me be a puppet. A puppet, my Lord, just a puppet. And let me dance as you want me to dance. When we connect to the infinite grace of Radha, Krishna, of God within our hearts, there is no greater power. There's no greater gift. And it is that connecting to grace that is the purpose, the spiritual purpose of chanting the kirtans of God's names and glories. It's connecting to that grace that's the greatest opportunity for us in every situation. If we just learn the art of seeing the opportunity and growing. Thank you very much. Should we chant in this spirit?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hari 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 Rama Hari Rama 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 Hari Hari
Shamdas used to ask me to sing this melody, so we are singing in his memory with love and gratitude for his glorious life and the incredible gifts he gave us.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Everybody, as you're hearing the holy name with folded palms, welcome this sweet sound vibration, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, and sound vibration into your hearts. And as you chant with gratitude, in all sincerity, let us take shelter of the grace of the Lord. Let us chant with great feeling, very loudly, to fill the world. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, please.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna,
Everybody.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.